Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to another tutorial. Like you guys have seen from the title and from the intro, we are making this beautiful skirt that I have on. We're making this beautiful skirt that I have on. I actually started working on this I think about a month ago. Yeah, but I decided to change the entire pattern. This was supposed to be something else, so I changed the entire pattern. So that's the reason why it took me so long to actually get this done. But it's a super simple pattern. If you just understand the first 5 rows, the rest is going to be super easy for you to go through and just repeat over and over again until you have a desired length. However, I did decide to use 3 different sizes for crochet hook when it comes to this pattern. That's the only complicating things about it. It's not even that complicated, because along in the video you'd see the reason why I actually used 3 different sizes, but I used a 2mm, a 3.5, and then a 5.5mm. I'm also going to make sure I put all the information and all the details down in the description box in case you want to go back and check that. I'll make sure I put them down in the description box below. I used a medium weight yarn, but you can use whatever yarn you have available. You don't have to use the same yarn that I used. Of course, you're going to need some measurement tape and some stitch marker and some scissors, of course, and an elastic band. Of course, the elastic band is optional. You don't have to do this. This is just the best method for me to just fix my waistband. You can use a drawstring or whatever you want to use to adjust the waist. In the video I also give you guys instructions on how you can actually make this fitted, so you don't have to go through the process of that. The only thing, probably you will have to wear your skirt from up down, because it might not be able to go around your hips. But if you want it to be super easy for you to just, and then you're done, then just go through the video, and then you'll be needing an elastic band or a drawstring for that method. Yeah, that is honestly it for this video. I am hoping to make a matching top, because you guys know I'm a set babe, 2-piece babe, and it's summer. Like, I will need to get my crochet pieces done and dusted before the summer comes, because I don't want to be rushing stuff. So I'm literally in the mood for making 2 pieces so I can save everything. The last one I made was the first one. This is the second one. So if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to link it somewhere around here. Go and check both of the pieces together. Super simple. But yeah, I am hoping to make a matching top for this. Look forward to that. Yeah, if you have any questions, as always, don't hesitate to just drop them down in the comment. I might be late, but I'm never gonna just ignore it. I might be late, but I'll never ignore it. Drop them down in the comment, and then I'll make time to answer your questions. Yeah, I will see you guys in another video. Bye bye.
I could blame it on the physical, I could blame it on your lips, your touch, your kiss, you know, real traditional. But your love's too original. You're anything but conventional. Baby, did you know that from the moment we fell in and knew we couldn't fall back, knew I'd always crawl back.
We are going to get started with the waistband, and that is just a simple single crochet stitch. So you're going to make a knot, a slip knot, and you're going to chain how long you want your band to be. I chained a total of 30, so depending on how long you want your band to be, you're just going to make a random chain that is the basic length of your waistband. So this is what my chain looks like. After chaining 30, I usually just go ahead and chain an extra one, which is going to be like a turning chain. So you're going to go into the second chain from the crochet hook with a single crochet, and single crochet is basically insert your crochet hook, grab your yarn and yarn over and pull through. That's just a simple single crochet stitch. Again, a simple single crochet is insert your crochet hook in the next chain, yarn over and pull through. Now you have 2 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the remaining 2 loops, all the 2 loops. So you're going to repeat 1 single crochet until you get to the very end. At the very end, you should have a total of 30 single crochets. So this is what you should have going on after your single crochet row. From here on, you're going to chain 1, and this time around we're still going to continue with a single crochet row, but we are going to work in the back loop, because that is what is going to give you the ripped band effect. So you're going to go into the back loops of the first row with 1 single crochet in each, and that is basically what you're going to repeat for the entire row. At the end of the row, always remember to chain 1 so you can have a starting chain, and then you're just going to repeat 1 single crochet into every back loop of each row until you have your desired waistband width, basically where your waistband, something wide enough to go around your waistband, and that is what you're going to repeat. And then I will see you guys when I have mine complete. So I'm just going to repeat 1 single crochet like I'm doing currently. So after you have your desired band, which is basically, this has to be wide enough to go around your waist in the unstretched form. So when you stretch this, it's going to be wide enough to go around your hips. Keep that in mind. You are going to attach the 2 ends of the band together with a single crochet. You can also use a slip stitch if you decide to do so. And I'm just going to go ahead, still with the 3mm. I'm still on the 3mm. I'm just going to go into every available space, which should be 25 on each of the ends, and I'm just going to go and do a single crochet and attach these 2 together. So after attaching the 2 ends of the panel together, you're going to turn this to the opposite side, which means the seam is going to be inwards, and now you're going to start and work on the body of the band. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm just going to chain 1, and I'm going to go into every available space around the band with a single crochet. So this is going to neaten off the band so you can prepare yourself for your first row. So you're just going to go into every available space, with 1 single crochet. Like I usually say, you cannot really tell how many single crochets you'll be needing, but you're just going to repeat 1 single crochet, making sure there is no gap. Like you see right there, there is no gap, but at the same time you're not increasing and putting way too much single crochet that you need. I'm still using the 2mm for this method. So after this, we're going to switch to a different size, but for this row you're just going to go into every single available space with 1 single crochet all around the circumference of the band. So after your single crochet row, what I usually do is I'm going to go above the previous row with a double crochet, but you guys can see that I switched my crochet hook from a 2mm to a 3.5mm. So this is what we are going to use for the pattern itself. So what I'm going to do from here on, we are going to work our first row, which is going to be a double crochet row. So again, instead of single crocheting or slip stitching into that first stitch, I usually just go right above that stitch with a double crochet row, because then it's going to leave your whatever you're making seamless. Because if you have to slip stitch right into that thing, I always find my project leaving with a seam, and I don't want a seam. So what I do is I usually just go find the last few stitches on that row, and then I'm just going to go right into that first single crochet I made with my first double crochet. And it's going to look a bit awkward for the first few rows, but after a few rows you're going to see that it perfectly just aligns together. So from here, I'm just going to repeat 1 double crochet into every single crochet from the previous row, and that is basically going to be the base of the pattern. The pattern is worked in multiple of 6 plus 3, but because we're making a skirt and you cannot really tell after the first row how many stitches you're going to have, you're just going to randomly just go ahead and do 1 double crochet. We are going to finally find a way to just fix everything in case you have way more than you need, but you're just going to repeat 1 double crochet like I'm doing now into every available space all around the band. Right here, I just finished my double crochet row, and again I'm going to go right above the previous row with my row 2. So we just finished row 1. So you're going to grab a stitch marker right now, because this is going to be easy for you to identify what your first stitch is. So right here you can see that I did my first double crochet. This is my first double crochet. It looks a little bit shorter compared to the rest of the double crochets. That's because that was the first double crochet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this last first stitch with a double crochet, and I'm going to grab my stitch marker and I'm going to mark that double crochet stitch, because that is going to identify as my first stitch, and that means whenever I get to that point we are going to start another row. So from here you're going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet, chain 2, skip 2 double crochet from the previous row, and into the third you're going to go with a V-stitch. And the V-stitch for this pattern is a double crochet, chain 2, and an extra double crochet into that same very space. Right after that you're going to chain 2 again, skip 2 stitches, and into the third stitch after the skip you're going to go with a single crochet. After the single crochet you're going to chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and into the third stitch you're going to go with another V-stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and an extra double crochet into that same stitch. And this is the pattern. You're going to repeat this pattern all around until you get to the stitch marker. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll see you guys when I'm at the very beginning of the row. What? So I just finished the first row. Remember I mentioned that because the pattern is worked in multiple of 6 plus 3, and we are working around the circumference of the band, we are not chaining a certain amount. It's going to be difficult for you to just get the exact amount that you need for the pattern. So that's the reason why I suggest you just go around and just do your double crochet stitches, so we can find a way to adjust that. Because if you're working on a panel, it's way easier than when you're working on a band that you don't even know the amount, especially when we used a single crochet stitch for this band. So there are different methods to how you can fix this. But what I'm going to do, I have the same situation now that I have excess. So usually after this last V-stitch I should have 3 more, actually should have 4 more actually, where I can just chain 2 and go into that last stitch with a single crochet to end of the row. And usually you have to turn back and go to the opposite side, but because we're working in rounds and I'm not turning anything, I'm finding a way I can play around with the pattern. So what I decided to do was, I'm going to, after my last V-stitch, so if you have way more than, I currently have 1 2 3 4 right before my 5th, the first row where the stitch marker is, so I have 4, right? So if you have way more, you're going to still continue until you have a total of 4 left. So I have 4, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chain 2, and usually you should go into the third chain, right, with a single crochet to end of the row. But because I have 4, I'm going to skip 3 instead of skipping 2 in this last pattern. And this is just going to be done for the first row, so you don't have to panic. After this first row you don't have to do this anymore, because the pattern is easily going to flow with the amount of stitches you have. So instead of skipping 2, I'm going to skip 3, and I'm going to go into that first stitch with my last single crochet, and this automatically ends the row. So right there I have my first stitch. I'm going to go ahead and take this stitch marker off, and right into this first stitch I'm going to go ahead and make a single crochet, an extra single crochet right there into that first stitch. So from here I'm going to chain 4, and this chain 4 is actually a treble crochet and not a double crochet. The next row is actually involves a treble crochet, so you're going to chain 4, and I'm going to grab my stitch marker again and mark that stitch right there. So after chaining 4, you're going to go ahead and go into this first V stitch with a clutter stitch. This is a bit different, but I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So for a clutter stitch, you're going to yarn over and go into this V stitch with a double crochet, just the same way you make a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over and pull through. Right there you have 3 loops, right? So from here on you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Right after this you're going to yarn over again and insert your double crochet into the V stitch again, and you're going to pull through. Right now you have 4 loops. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Now you have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the last 3 loops, and that is your first clutter stitch. And from there on I usually just push this so I can have enough room, because we're going to go ahead and do 2 more into that same very stitch. So from here you're going to chain 2, and you're going to repeat that pattern again. So you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, pull through. Now you have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, insert your crochet hook right into this V stitch again, pull through. Now we have 4 loops in total. You're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of the loops. So now you have your second complete. So now you're going to chain 2 again and repeat the same thing. Yarn over, insert your crochet hook right into that same V stitch. We're working 3 into that same V stitch. You have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2. Right after, you're going to yarn over, go into that same stitch again, grab your yarn and pull through. Now we have 4 loops in total on the crochet hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. You have 3, and you're going to yarn over and pull through the last 3 loops. And that's how you work your clutter stitch. And from here, you're going to chain 1 and repeat another clutter stitch right into this V stitch. So you're going to just do that all around. So you're going to chain 1 and repeat the same pattern all around until you get to the very beginning of the row. So that's what the pattern, how the pattern is being worked. So I'm going to get mine done, and then I'll see you guys at the very end of the row. So right here, I just did my last double crochet clutter. We are going to go ahead and end off the row, and to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to chain anything, and I'm just going to, remember we did chain 4 at the very beginning, which was a treble crochet. I'm going to just go ahead and find the 4th chain, which is 1 2 3 4, and I'm going to slip stitch right into that 4th chain to end of the row, and that's the end of row 3. So to start the row, you're going to go ahead and chain 4 again. This chain 4 this time around is not a treble crochet, it's basically a double crochet chain 1. So you're going to take your stitch marker and mark the 3rd chain instead of the 4th chain, because that 3rd chain actually signify a double crochet. So right there you have a double crochet chain 1. So after that, you're going to go ahead and walk into the chain 1 and chain 2 space from the previous row with a double crochet. So you're going to go into this first chain 2 space with a double crochet, chain 1, and into this next chain 2 space you're going to go with another double crochet, chain 1, and into this chain 1 space with a double crochet, chain 1, into this chain 2 with a double crochet, chain 1, into this chain 2 with a double crochet, chain 1, and into this chain 1 with a double crochet. And this is what you're going to repeat for the entire pattern, and then I'll see you guys at the very beginning of the row. So right here, I am coming to the very end. I'm going to go into that last chain 2 space with my last double crochet, and from there I'm going to chain 2, because that is my last chain 2 space, and I have my stitch marker here, which means that's going to be the last stitch, and we are going to go ahead and end off the row. So I'm going to take off the stitch marker from that 3rd chain, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So basically 1 2 3, and I'm going to slip stitch right into that stitch, and this basically ends row 4. So for row 5, you're going to go ahead and chain 3, and I'm just going to grab the stitch marker and attach that to that 3rd chain, so I know that's going to be my very first stitch. And from here on, you're going to go into this chain 1 space with a double crochet, into this next stitch with another double crochet, into this chain 1 space with a double crochet, and into this next stitch with another double crochet. And this is basically what you're going to repeat for the entire row. So this is row 5 is basically a double crochet row, so you're going to repeat 1 double crochet all around, and I'll see you guys at the very end so I can tell you what the next step is. So right here, I just finished row 5, and you're basically going to end off the row by slip stitching into the 1st chain, the 3rd chain, sorry, in your last chain 3. So I'm going to take off the stitch marker, and I'm going to find the 3rd chain and slip stitch right into that chain to end off the row. And to get started with the next row, it's basically a repetition of row 2 to row 5. So you're basically going to repeat row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5 for the entire pattern. So again, for row 2, you're going to chain 3, and you're going to go into this 1st stitch. So you can take your stitch marker again and mark that stitch as always, just to make sure you know where you can start and end off your row. And you're going to go into this 1st stitch with a single crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitch, 1 2, and into the 3rd you're going to go with a V stitch, which is a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet into that same space, chain 2 and repeat. So you're basically repeating row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5 again until this is long enough to go, like until it's 16 inches long. So I'm going to repeat that, and then I'm going to come back and give you guys an update, because I don't know what I'm going to do next, because I'm working the pattern as I go. But I'll see you guys when I have something going on, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Hey guys, so I wanted to give you guys an update of how far I have been with my skirt. So this is how much I have going on. I'm going to just count from row 2 to row 5 as one set, so that way it's super easy for me to just give you guys an update. So I did 1 2 3 4 5 6 sets of from row 2 to row 5, basically 6 sets, which in total should be about 6 times 4, 24. I'm not the best at maths, but this is 24, and it should be about 15 inches, and even maybe a little. Let me just grab my measurement tape. So like I was saying, I have this much complete, and this is about 24 rows, or maybe 25, not sure, because, but let me take the measurement so you guys know what the length is. It's currently 16 inches, 16.5 inches actually. So now I'm going to, this is long enough to fit right underneath my butt area. So we're done with the hips, which means we are going to decrease. But because this pattern is a little bit complicated compared to the usual pattern, what I do is, usually when I want to decrease, I just go a size smaller, because when you go a size smaller means automatically your stitches are going to be tighter, which means automatically your pattern is going to get smaller. That's just the technique. So we were using a 3.5. Let me confirm. Yes, so we were using a 3.5. I'm going to just grab 3mm, or maybe 2.5. So I'm going to grab a 3. So I'm basically going from a 3.5 to a 3mm, and I'm going to repeat the same pattern, the entire pattern again. The only difference is this time around I'm going to make it until it's long enough to be around my knee, just a few rows. I think about 3 sets. So I'm getting a bit distracted. So I'm going to use the 3mm after switching for 3 sets, and again the 3 sets in this case will be like from row 2 to row 5. When you complete row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, that's 1 set. So I'm going to do that for a total of 3 sets. Afterwards I'm going to switch again to a different size, because that is what is going to give you the nice flare at the edge of the skirt, so it goes smoothly. Yes. So hey guys, so I wanted to give you guys a quick update. It's currently 7. I've actually been working on this thing for the past 4 hours, which is crazy, but I made dinner and so many other stuff that I needed to do. But this is how much I have after the 3 sets. Again, I'm gonna keep saying set. After the 3 sets with the 3mm, and now I'm going to switch to a 5.5, which is a big gap from 3 to 5.5, but I'm going to switch to a 5.5, and this is what I'm going to do until I have my desired length. It's currently about 22 inches, which is a good length, but I want mine to be long, just from what you guys see from the thumbnail. So I'm just going to switch to a 5.5, and I'm just going to continue the same thing. No increasing or decreasing, I'm just increasing with the crochet hook, and I'm going to continue that. Hopefully I can get this done by tomorrow. It's 7. My bedtime is at 10. I do not play with my bedtime because I wake up super early, so I have to go to bed very early as well. So if I don't finish it today, I'm just gonna see you guys tomorrow and give you guys the update. Yes. Hey guys, so this is what, I hope I don't look very crazy, but this is what we have going on. I am obsessed. Like, I just decided to put this on so I can see, because I haven't really like put this on, and then fortunately I have like a green top to go with it on, which is very crazy, but I am obsessed. The band is a little bit big, obviously, because I did use my waist measurement in the stretch form, so it's a little bit wide. You can either use a drawstring or an elastic band to fix that. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I really haven't decided yet, but I just wanted to show you guys how it looks, and hopefully you can see the length as well. This is what my length is. I think it's about 38 inches or 40 inches, I'm not even sure. I think the length is perfect. I think everything is just, I love it. So we are going to go ahead, and I am going to go ahead and attach an elastic band to this, but of course this is optional. If your waistband fits perfectly, you don't have to, and if you like the fitting of your waistband, then you don't have to. But I do not like the fitting, so I'm going to add an elastic band just around the waistband. Very, very simple. Again, you're going to make sure you take the measurement of your band and make sure this is your waist measurement when it's unstretched. Hopefully. Yeah, so this right here is 28 inches, which is about my measurement. I don't have anything longer, so I'm just going to stick to this. And from here on, I'm just going to go ahead and make a knot to secure this. And I don't make my knot too tight, because if there's anything I need to adjust, I can go back and do the adjustment. So for now, I'm just going to make something I can unravel in case I need to. As always, I'm going to find where the seam area is around my skirt. Right there is going to be where I'm going to attach the knot around the band, just so I know that's going to be at the back of the skirt and this is going to be the front. And as usual, I'm just going to go right in there and make a knot through the band into the skirt. And then I'll just go ahead and make a few knots around that elastic band so I can have it secure before I start single crocheting around. So now that I have the band secure, you can see that the knot is outside, so I usually just push this inward so it can be around there. And from here on, I'm going to go ahead and do afterbook crochet around the band. So again, I'm going to chain one, and then from there I'm just going to go into every available space and making sure I go around the band. So now you can see that the band has been attached because of the knots that I made. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the crochet skirt, and I'm going to go underneath the elastic band with my crochet hook, grab the yarn, pull through, yarn over and pull through all three. So again, I'm going to yarn over, go into the crochet skirt, make sure I go underneath the elastic band, grab my yarn and pull through, yarn over and pull through all three loops. And I'm just going to yarn over, go into the next available space, make sure my crochet hook goes underneath the elastic band, grab the yarn, pull through, yarn over and pull through all three loops. And this is what I'm honestly just going to repeat all around the band, so I can have this band attached to the skirt. It's very, very simple, guys. So right here I have, you can see that I still have excess yarn, and I already worked my way back to the very beginning. So this is the reason why I did not make like a secure knot, so I can go back and undo this or even now cut, because I have excess. So I'm just going to cut off this excess and I'm going to make a new knot so I can just fit the skirt. But I usually just go back and make sure the elastic band is not too tight, because again, you want to make sure there is still enough room for this to go around your hips, but at the same time, when it gets around your hips, you should be able to fit your waist perfectly. So I usually just go back and stretch the band a little bit, just so I can make sure that it's not too tight. So now I'm just going to make the knot and I'm going to end this off, guys. This is so simple. Like, if you've seen a few of my new tutorials, you know that I use the same elastic method, because I feel like this just makes everything easy. Instead of using a drawstring, you're probably gonna have string around. I don't like that. I don't like the look, so I usually just use this. So from here, I'm just going to poke a hole in the elastic band so I can sew this into the stitches. So I'm just going to turn this around and just going to go into the stitches that I just made right there, and you can see that I'm doing this from the inside, so this is going to be inside and not outwards. And I'm just going to slowly make my way out. This is going to be a little bit difficult, so just take your sweet time and just do that. Don't rush the process. And right there you can see that the elastic band just goes there perfectly. I'm going to do this once more before I cut the edge, just a few more, so I can have this. It's just like you're sewing the loose ends. That's basically what this process is about. And you also want to make sure that it's not too tight, and from there you can just cut this off. Simple. And you're going to do the same on the opposite side, of course, but then you're going to also go ahead and end this off. So right here, let me show you guys what I'm going to do right there. So I have my first double crochet. This was the chain one I did, so I'm just going to go into that chain one and slip stitch. And I'm going to go into that first double crochet as well and slip stitch. And that's basically what the pattern is about. Super simple. Cut the yarn, and you can just sew this end of the yarn, and also sew whatever yarn you have in the elastic band as well.